What's up, everyone? Welcome to Let's Play Demon Souls. Man, I love the way that sounds coming out of my mouth. So, Demon Souls is a horror game. And that might sound odd because most people would classify it as an action RPG, something along those lines. But hear me out. It's a horror game that doesn't rely on psychological trickery to be scary. And it is, in fact, frightening, genuinely. Unlike, say, Resident Evil 2 or Dead Space. It's suffocatingly oppressive. The levels and the monsters are designed to be grotesque and horrifying. It oozes this perfectly created, tense atmosphere. It establishes very heavy stakes for dying and then makes it really easy to die. And what's so intense and so chilling about this game, what makes the horror element work aside from all that? The unknown. There's a lot of it. You just never know what's about to happen to you. You're always vulnerable. There's always something just ahead that you know is dangerous, but you don't know quite what that is. And you can never just barrel forward. The game doesn't force-feed its mechanics and explanations about the world to you. Everything is wrapped in secrecy, and you figure it out as you go along. Where most games carefully walk you through how to handle the systems and prepare you for what lies in each area, they give you a safety net to go ahead and plow forward. The Souls games do exactly the opposite. They give you a sparse little tutorial that lays the controls out, and then they plop you into this horrible world where horrible things can happen to you at any time if you just barrel forward. But that's the rub. If you play slowly and level-headed with your shield up, you're careful, you're prudent, you can embolden yourself to just soldier forward inch by inch without getting killed. But still, that sense of the unknown is still there. It's the reason you keep your shield up. It's the reason you inch your way around every corner. Dread. It permeates everything. I love the Souls games for a lot of reasons, and I'm constantly evaluating and reevaluating them. But right now, I think chiefest, the thing at the top of my proverbial love letter to this game is that it has such a rich atmosphere and that creeping sense of dread. It has possibly the richest atmosphere of any video game series the Souls games do. So I'm gonna break off from my little preamble here and just talk about character creation for a second, because I didn't expect to ramble on for so long with that. Classes are somewhat unimportant. Your class choice only really matters in the beginning because they all start with different spells, equipment, and stats. For instance, most people consider the Royal to be the easiest class because he starts off with a ring that regenerates his mana and a very powerful ranged spell. Also, he starts out at Soul Level 1, which is lower than any other class, which might sound bad, but it means that you have more flexibility when you're leveling up because he starts at a lower level. And the way leveling works is you have to spend your currency, your souls, on levels, and each subsequent level costs more and more. So starting out at a low level means the first couple level ups, you have more of a say in them, and they cost less. So we're gonna get into a cutscene. I'll continue the explanation with the stats, and then continue on with what I was saying.
King Alant XII, by channeling the power of souls, brought unprecedented prosperity to his northern kingdom of Bolitaria. That is, until the colorless deep fog swept across the land. Bolitaria was cut off from the outside world, and those who dared penetrate the deep fog never returned. But Valorfax of the royal twin fangs broke free from the fog and told the world of Bolitaria's plight. That the old King Alant had aroused the Old One, the great beast below the Nexus, from its eternal slumber, and that a colorless fog had swept in, unleashing terrible demons. The demons hunt down men and claim their souls. those who lose their souls also lose their minds. The mad attack the sane, and chaos reigns. Valorfax spoke of the enticing power of the demon souls. Each time a demon claims a human soul, the demon's own soul is invigorated by the life force, and the power of a mature demon's soul is beyond human imagination. The legend spread quickly. Mighty warriors were drawn to the accursed land, but none have returned. Bjor of the Twin Fangs, Yurt the Silent Chief, Sage Urbane, Skurver the Wanderer, the Sixth Saint Astraea and her knight Garl Vinland, and Sage Frake the Visionary. The colorless deep fog slowly creeps beyond Bolitaria's borders. Humankind faces a slow and steady extinction. The deep fog will eventually swallow all lands near and far. But Bolitaria has one final hope. A lone warrior who has braved the baneful fog. Has the land found its savior? Or have the demons found a new slave?
So, like I was saying, the important thing to note is that if you pick, say, a magician or a priest, you don't have to build him strictly as a caster. You can build him melee, an archer, whatever you want. You're not limited by anything based on your class. It's just the very beginning of the game where that choice actually makes a real big difference.
Brave soul.
Like you can acquire any of the equipment, the spells, or anything the other classes start with. There are a few gender-specific armor sets, but that's about it as far as limitations go. So you have a max soul level of 712, which you reach by doing tons of New Game Pluses.
Back to slumber.
And the stats that you saw on the character creation screen are intelligence, strength, endurance, vitality. What am I missing? Faith, luck, magic, and dexterity. So strength is a scaling stat for melee classes, and it determines how much damage strength-based weapons will do. And equipment also has strength requirements that you need to meet in order for them to be effective. You can use shields without meeting the requirement, but they take way more stamina to block with, and you can also two-hand heavy weapons, or any kind of weapon really, and that cuts their strength requirement in half. Endurance increases the amount of stamina you have for attacking and dodging and running around and blocking and stuff. And you max out your stamina at 40 endurance, but it also increases elemental and status resists and helps with your equipment load, which is the weight of the items that you can have equipped, and I'll talk more about that when it becomes a factor. So, what else? Vitality increases your HP, and that maxes out. That might also max out at 40. I can't remember, though. It's the first thing that factors into determining your HP before things like the soul form penalty, all sorts of other stuff that, again, we'll get into later. And it also affects your I can't remember what the other one is called, the item burden, which is the stuff that you can have in your inventory before becoming encumbered. Intelligence increases the amount of magic you have, or the amount of mana. And there's also a system in the game, spell memory kind of thing, where you can only have spells stored according to the amount of intelligence you have. So if you have, say, I think 10 intelligence, you can store only one spell, which means you can only have one spell active at a time. But with 18 intelligence, you can cycle between up to 3 to a maximum of 6 stored spells at I think 40 I think it's 40 pretty much for everything. Faith is kind of like... Faith and magic are kind of similar. Magic scales up the damage of your spells and also increases the scaling from moon and crescent weapons. And Faith determines the power of your miracles, pretty much just 2 different spell classes. And there's, just like intelligence, it determines how many miracles you can have active at a time, how many you can store or memorize. Dexterity is a little bit like strength in that it's a scaling stat, and it also reduces the damage you take from falling. Luck increases plague resistance, and it increases item drop rates. Let's see, I think I covered everything. At least in, like, the shallow depth that I want to cover those particular facets of the stat system. So, the point of this Let's Play... Come to think of it, I'm not too sure about that. It's not to really deeply analyze it like I did with Limbo. It's not to give, like, super cool behind-the-scenes type trivia like with Bayonetta, or to be specifically comedic. I'm still going to parse the story and the themes. I'm still going to be detailed and informative. And I'm still going to crack jokes. But none of those things are really my end goal here. I don't know if there is one. It's, if anything, as self-indulgent as anything else. Because I just want to appreciate this really wonderful game and share that appreciation. And maybe bring you guys along and help you to understand why this game is so worth appreciating. And maybe you've already played it and you're a Souls guru, or maybe you know nothing about it and you're only watching this because you like my commentary. Either way, I'm playing through Demon's Souls because I believe it is a scintillating jewel in the crown of gaming, and I have a lot of love for this game. It is... I said Mega Man X is probably one of my 10 favorite games ever. The Souls series, Demon's Souls and Dark Souls, are also up there on that list. Also, no other game really walks the line between empowering and terrifying like this. There's that chilling tension that I talked about, but there's also like this wide-eyed sense of wonder I get from exploring, and the gratification of mastering this game's fairly deep systems and then you get like so good at the game that the enemies they no longer feel dangerous, and you can just aggressively deal with them and just slice right through them. And yet, when you falter for just a little bit and you take a stray hit or two that reduces you to half your health, it reminds you of just how vulnerable you are, despite the fact that you've gained such mastery over the systems. And it's renowned for its difficulty, but it does ignore decades of game design to be punishing. And I don't think that's what makes the game hard, though. I think that it makes it more tense. I also think that talking about Demon's Souls in terms of its difficulty does kind of a massive disservice to the game itself. As a matter of fact, I've argued many times that aside from being punishing, it's not actually that hard. The main skill that's required is patience and foresight. If the game punishes... If you proceed cautiously and slowly, like I said, with your shield raised, you usually won't get too caught off guard. What the game punishes most harshly, though, is recklessness. Demon's Souls doesn't suffer hot-headed decision-making. Aside from a few bosses, though, it's not terribly skill-intensive just to complete. It certainly helps. Your skill with the combat and the movement scales. It lets you play much more quickly, aggressively, decisively. But the minimum skill threshold just required to just beat the game isn't terribly high. Again, it's reputed as a very tough game because it demands a smart, cautious playstyle from beginners, and it punishes you mercilessly if you don't learn that lesson. some people are going to find it impenetrable and boring, and some people are going to look at the punitive nature of it and write it off as the game not being difficult and just punishing like old school games were by virtue of archaic, anachronistic design philosophies. Some people are going to hate that the story is buried so deep in the details, and that's fair enough. I can see all of those opinions, and I can totally understand why some people might find it insufferable. But personally, I love it. I absolutely love it. If you are one of those people who really wants to like it, but it's just oil on water for you, and you can't just force yourself to play through it, maybe a Let's Play is just what you need, where you can appreciate it vicariously without the frustration of overcoming the design elements you don't like. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy it. So, that ran a little bit longer than I had hoped. Didn't get to even properly introduce my, one of my favorite concepts. I talk about this in Mega Man X. The boss that guards the tutorial here, Vanguard. Vanguard, if you're new to the game, he probably one-shotted you your first time through the tutorial. But it might surprise you to know that he's actually perfectly killable, and he's not even all that hard. There are some minor tactics that go along with killing him, but it's not too bad. Oh my god! You must be kidding me! I talk about the Spelunky curse all the time. All the time! And it just... that big swing of Vanguard's axe shows it in full effect. Vanguard actually isn't that hard. Whoosh! Oh god, I hope I don't die now. That would be super, super embarrassing for me. So Vanguard here is the boss that guards the tutorial. He is perfectly killable, and if you kill him, you get quite a few rewards, instead of dying and getting sent straight to the Nexus. And I just have to make sure I don't get hit again, because I'm not burning through all this grass if he even was going to give me time. He has a couple basic attacks. And the rule of thumb is whichever side he's attacking from, just roll towards that side and get behind him. Don't ever, like, try to stay in the middle or out... I don't know, not outrange, but don't try to roll with the attack. Roll to the side that he's attacking from. That way it makes it easier to get behind him, and then the butt stomps are really easy to get around. Luckily I killed him without, taking another hit. Otherwise I would not have killed him. God. I was not expecting Vanguard to put up a challenge, to be honest. Because early on, I had no problem just talking through the early parts of that fight. And then, I mean, it does demonstrate what I was talking about, the vulnerability. You fuck around for a second, and one stray axe swing reminds you of just how vulnerable you are. And here we have, this is what greets you when you kill Vanguard. This big, hulking, horrifying monster of a creature, who, by the way, is called Dragon God, and he is the boss of World 2-3, the end boss of World 2. But a reward for killing Vanguard, aside from the colorless soul we get, includes all that grass. Oh, all that grass. Now I have to insert a clip of Mabel screaming, "Yay! Grass!" It's perfect juxtaposition of cute, cuddly Gravity Falls with Demon Souls. But you're rewarded with that soul, and you're rewarded with all of these souls here. And so killing Vanguard was perfectly reasonable for the tutorial. Dragon God? No. He punches you to death in a cutscene as soon as you approach him. He is the vial of Demon Souls. Oh god, I love Dragon God. The fight is so gimmicky, but it's so funny. So now that we have been punched to death by Dragon God. We have escaped the tutorial, but not with our soul or our life intact, and we're being sent back to the Nexus. I think I just whistled through my teeth while talking like Gopher from Winnie the Pooh.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended. This is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of Bolitaria. Thou canst not exit the Nexus, but each of the 5 archstones will connect into another.
Alright. Thus... Ooh, almost hit wire. Thus ends our escapades through the tutorial of Demon Souls. Now that we are in the Nexus, we can enter the game proper, starting with World 1-1. And after that, it opens up and we can explore any world we want to. But for this episode, well, we're done for now. So, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Hope to see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.